It is with great sadness the Savvo N Stubby Show will be reporting the passing of one Jan Ross, wife of longtime commentator and Hall of Famer Jim Ross. Jan Ross passed away at the age of 55 on March 22nd, Wednesday. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Ross family. May she rest in peace.
The following announcement's been paid for by the Savvo N Stubby Show.
Quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
Wrestling fans, thanks for joining us tonight on the Savvo N Stubby Show. We are here in Livermore, California at the SNS Studios, and we have a great show for you tonight. We're going to be covering WrestleMania, the Hall of Fame, and whatever else comes up. A lot of stuff going on, hot topics, and I am Savvo, the leader of the Savvo Nation, and my partner in crime here is Stubby. Stubby, say a few words.
It's me. It's S-T-U-B-B. Why? Because I'm the man, the myth, the legend, the mighty minion himself, Stubby. Blah, 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 blah. And we are talking on episode number 8 of the Savvo N Stubby Show. We are still here.
We are. We ain't going nowhere.
In fact, I have put in a request to be added to Apple iTunes, so I am waiting to hear back from that. With that being said, we should be able to expand our audience a little bit and be on a more of a national level.
Sounds good.
Yeah. This week, one of our hot topics is the Chris Benoit story. I posted on the
We're talking about this again?
Yeah, this is why people voted you as a dick.
That was not cool, man.
Yeah, thanks,
Where's
Gus.
the love, people?
His own brother. I love it.
Only one person stood up for me. Thanks, Gus.
But yeah, the topic on the Savvo N Stubby Show group page was whether or not Chris Benoit should be inducted in the Hall of Fame. And I am openly willing to say that I believe he should. To make sure that we were more familiar with what was going on with the Chris Benoit story, we watched the True Hollywood Story on Chris Benoit. Surprisingly enough, it didn't talk much about Kevin Sullivan.
There's got to be something more informative out there, don't you think?
I agree. My Fire Stick would not connect us to any of the actual footage or whatnot. I think I'm going to go back and listen to Talk is Jericho and listen to the interview with Woman's sister. It was either Woman's sister or Benoit's sister about the incident.
It was Woman's sister, Nancy. Nancy Benoit is woman.
But the character witnesses for Benoit all state that this was out of his behavior. This is not something that was common for him. Which...
At the same time, though, they did say, like, the last couple of years he was acting a little odd.
Yeah.
After Owen's death and after Eddie Guerrero.
Which does a lot on... I mean, but with that being said, you would think Bret Hart would have had the same kind of outcome. You know, it being his brother. I mean, wrestlers pass away. It's a given. We all pass away.
Exactly, but it all depends on how, they process it. And then, in mental state.
In the interview, Ted DiBiase says he's been around people with roid rage, and Chris Benoit was not showing signs that of roid rage. So, it just seems like a lot of peculiar circumstances. That was a hard word to say, by the way. Peculiar. But as Savvo stated, we are going to be talking about the build-up to WrestleMania. I know we've been talking about this last couple weeks, but we are getting closer. So with that said, I will let Savvo go into the first segment of the show. And what do you have in mind, my friend?
Well, let's see. We got... You want to go over the matches for Mania?
Yeah, as of right now, it looks like WWE has carded about 12 official matches. And if anyone's a fan of WWE, they know that they are no strangers to adding matches last minute, surprise entrances and
Definitely
so forth.
Surprise entrances.
Like there's talks that the Hardys may be there at Mania. And I'm going to go unprofessional for a moment. Where is the power cord? Or do I have to turn the switch on for this?
Oh, I think you might have to go in the higher outlet.
All right. Nope, that didn't register either. Go ahead, you keep talking.
Well, okay, start off WrestleMania. We have one of the matches, the Andre the Giant 30-man Battle Royal. As you remember, we were talking about how many people were in it. There is an amount, 30.
30 people?
That's what it said.
That is a lot of. I get that they're trying to.
That's a lot of people for having 12 other matches.
Well, I think this is them making sure everyone gets a payday.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of talent that's just getting thrown into a match.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a lot of talent that nobody wants to see, really.
But then there's some that they haven't really been doing much with, and it would be nice to see.
But a Battle Royal, if it's not the official Royal Rumble, still is a throwaway match.
Yeah, and the thing is, okay, they've had the Andre the Giant Battle Royal for how many years now? Like 4 or 5, whatever?
3. Big Show's won it once, Baron Corbin's won it, and Cesaro's won it. To my knowledge, those 3.
Okay, but what do they get? All they get is a trophy, and they don't get no title shot. They don't get nothing.
It's supposed to be almost like WWE's Money in the Bank kind of thing, where it's supposed to give a character a build. But we see how successful that's been for all 3 people that's won it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Baron Corbin's been the most beneficial so far.
Yeah.
But I believe that's on his own accolade, not anything to do with the... Although they like to put that in his coming down the ramp thing.
On his resume, yeah.
And it's funny because the Wetback from the Wetback and Cracker... Sorry, the Cracker from the Wetback and Cracker Power Hour noted that you realize now that they've eliminated entrance themes.
Good.
It's no more like wrestling scenes along with music. It's just like a cinematic ramp.
Yeah.
Cesaro, I think, is the one that initiated that with the whole James Bond thing.
Yeah.
If you look at The Miz, he's got the red carpet when him and Maurice come out. Like the floor flashes and then all of a sudden the red carpet rolls out.
Yeah, the Hollywood look.
Which is pretty cool because you want it to give the character a feel. Baron Corbin's got the coolest one, I think. Where, his finishing moves the End of Days and you can see like this black cloud come and take over the city.
I'll have to pay more attention next time.
But I like that route that they went with it. It's pretty neat. But where was I? Completely off topic here. Battle Royal?
The Battle Royal, yeah.
Do we know who's confirmed so far? Other than
there's only
Apollo Crews, Dolph Ziggler.
There hasn't really been that many. I didn't research it.
I would have to assume Simon and Gotch? I was going to say Simon and Garfunkel, whatever his name is. And a lot of these, I'm sure Rhino and
Heath Slater.
Heath Slater's going to be, I was going to say Christian Slater. Man, I'm getting these names all screwed up. By the way, our photos leaked. If you haven't already seen it on the Savvo N Stubby Show, I was extorted by somebody, but I wasn't going to allow them to do that. So I went ahead and exposed the photos myself. The Savvo N Stubby t-shirts are now posted along with the Savvo N Stubby mouse pad and coffee cups, which we're slowly going to try to transition to a video broadcast. And it'd be nice to have our own little coffee cups and merch to go along with it, our own little swag.
So far, there's only 4 people, 4 people confirmed for the Battle Royal: Apollo Crews, Mojo Rawley, Big Show, and Kurt Hawkins.
That is sad. It really is.
That is.
They only need 20.
They're what, like a week away?
Yeah, only need 26 more to fill it up, right?
Okay. Another match on there.
Before we go there, where do you think this match plays on the card? Is it a show opener?
I think so.
Because, I listened to Kevin Owens, a.k.a. Kevin Steen, do an interview with both Stone Cold and, I believe, with Jericho. And one of his favorite lines to use is that if he's going to be on a show, he wants to be the guy that starts the show or the guy that ends the show. He doesn't want to be a mid-card. So I assume this would be an opener or a mid-card. I wouldn't even say opener because...
The Battle Royal is usually either an opener or a finisher, I recall.
I wouldn't lick my chops to that. I want to see the show start, not end right off the bat.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they put the women's title as the first match.
No, because then they'll say that it's sexist.
Like Kevin Steen said, he'd either open the show or end the show. He doesn't want to be a mid-card. I think it'd be great. Unless they go with the Jericho and him angle.
Maybe.
Right off the bat. All right, so...
We also have John Cena and Nikki Bella against Miz and Maurice.
I think they went backwards on this angle. They should have did the funny angle like 2 or 3 weeks out.
And then make it more serious.
And then do the serious right before Mania. Because now you go full head of steam with Maurice, who I was really convinced that she was pissed off that she got screwed by Bella. And then they go the comedic route, which kind of tones it down a little bit. And now I don't feel that same...
Maybe they got some heat for dropping all the bitch lines.
I think WWE just did it backwards there. I'm not as interested as I was, say, 2 weeks ago. But don't get me wrong. On paper, initially, this match sounded horrible.
Right, exactly, it did.
And I like the build to this because Cena leaving to go shoot movies or whatnot, he has a real good chance to build Miz up here. And then it could put a lot of other people in play. Because with Cena off SmackDown, they're going to have to move talent from Raw to kind of get the feel. And then move some people from SmackDown to balance it out.
When's the draft coming up? Like June or something?
I think it's June. Probably right before, not right before, but before SummerSlam.
Another match we got, of course, AJ Styles versus Shane McMahon. On paper, again, to me, no big deal. But, I mean, AJ's probably the greatest in this, on the roster right now. Him against Shane, again. Shane probably just going for that WrestleMania moment. But, I don't know. I thought they did okay with what they've done on SmackDown.
I oppose that slightly. Last week...
Just okay, not great.
Right. No, last week I think the whole angle with the smashing his head in the car was great. It made it seem like AJ was the dominant force, and he's trying to go for that heel role.
Yeah.
But what they did this recent SmackDown kind of killed it for me.
What is those punches?
Yeah, he's... yeah, I don't know. And he actually caught him in the face, the very first punch, because he threw a quick jab. Which it looked like AJ wasn't expecting it. But, there was no power behind it.
Right, that's what I mean.
I mean, if he would have hit a fly, the fly would have just flew off. But my whole thing is they made AJ seem more of like an equal to McMahon this week. When he walked to the coming from the backstage, he almost looked scared to even come out, which is silly because he's the wrestler.
Right, exactly.
And it just, if you're going to make him a babyface, you make him have, the power. Shane's the beaten down, sorry, not babyface.
I mean, he doesn't really have any...
if you're going to make him the heel... Shane's going to be the babyface. The babyface should be a little nervous around the heel, especially after getting jumped from behind.
Right, yeah.
But
the way he did, yeah.
They balanced the playing field by Shane dropping that elbow, which he didn't connect on the table.
I know, yeah.
Which was pretty... then if you're going to show a replay, and you're going to show it multiple times, even in slow motion, my favorite thing is if you ever watch a WWE replay that they haven't met the title, the target... They'll slow it down right before the impact, and then they speed it up so that you don't register.
You don't actually catch it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool trick. Don't get me wrong.
But yeah, originally they were trying to get AJ. They offered Shawn Michaels a match against AJ, but he's turned it down. Can you imagine if he accepted that?
That would have been awesome.
That would have been like.
Well, I can't say awesome because I think honestly AJ would shine in that match.
Well, he should too.
Right, but I don't know how much Shawn has in the tank. I mean, I guess it's like riding a bicycle for them.
Right.
When you're out for so long.
Yeah, but especially doing it for how many years was he doing? 20, 30?
Yeah. And his last match looked like he didn't lose a step.
That's what I'm saying. That would have been a great match.
You know what's even crazier? If you go back and you look, I believe it was WrestleMania 10. Was it 10 when Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart? Or was it 11? Somewhere around that range?
I'm not good with those. I don't know.
Neither am I. But when they did the Iron Man match, that was the most committed I've ever been to a WWE event. That build-up with Jose Lothario.
Manager?
Training Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels never winning the title prior to that. I believed the hype behind that.
Yeah.
And to see it go for an hour of actual wrestling was amazing.
Well, that's also before Kevin Nash and Scott Hall blew the whistle and everything, saying it was...
But it's just crazy. If you look at it now, because of everyone's ADD and short attention spans, the average match lasts between 3 and 7 minutes. But to go an hour with the same opponent and not run out of material and be able to sell it, the high spots, the low spots, they drew the audience on that one.
Definitely, yeah. That was a great one.
I mean, I could only imagine it'd be the same with AJ.
Man, that would have been badass. Another match we have is Undertaker against Roman Reigns. I'm seeing Reigns pulling the victory here.
Yeah, initially.
Only because Undertaker is probably going to be retiring soon.
This one was a roller coaster for me. When I first heard the build to this match, I was against it. It sounded like it was going to be a crap match because Vince likes to push Roman Reigns.
Exactly.
And then they had a couple little interactions here and there, and it's like, you know what, I think I can get on board with this. And then when I saw their last interaction, this past, was it Monday?
Raw, this past week it was kind of weak.
Yeah, I'm not buying it again. And I actually got my hopes up when I saw him chokeslam. Or was it a chokeslam?
Yeah, he chokeslammed Strowman.
I was like, all right, this could be something good.
I'd like to see it turn into a 3-way.
Giggity.
Damage.
But, I mean, there's a possibility it still can happen. You know, like I was saying, WWE likes these little surprises, especially at the biggest show of the year. This is the ultimate thrill ride.
This is their Starcade.
Yeah. He's still not over WCW being away.
Never will be. Okay, next up, again in no order, Dean Ambrose against Baron Corbin.
The only thing I like about this match is that Dean's going to lose the belt.
I know.
I was talking to you about this, was it yesterday? It's interesting if you go back, Dean Ambrose, for a while there, had a full head of steam, and I was on board for a little bit in the beginning stages of the Lunatic Fringe. But his downfall was when he went on the Stone Cold podcast on the WWE Network.
That was a horrible podcast.
You turned me on to that interview, and you...
Me?
Yeah, you were disgusted by how it went. And I was thinking it couldn't be that bad.
He was like a politician. He was like avoiding the question. He was just... Words were coming out, but they didn't make sense, and they were just avoiding what the question was.
And I am not a pro when it comes to the mic in any sense of the word, but I think I could have did a better...
Anybody want a peanut?
A better interview than that. And it's just... It's sickening because this guy was the world champion for too long.
It was too long.
But after that interview, it seemed like his career kind of just spiraled down. He's getting jobber matches now. And he's getting thrown in some crappy gimmicks with Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin's on the rise up, and I think it's great that they're going to IC title first before going to the...
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
I've always thought that you got to work your way up, not just get the number one spot.
The only way that WWE can save Dean at this point is if they send him over to Raw and we get an alliance with the Shield all over again. And I think there's a story build there with Triple H and his newfound friends, Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe.
I got another way.
Let's hear
it. Bring Eric Young to SmackDown. Either have him feud with Dean Ambrose over Lunatic, who's the real Lunatic, or have them become a tag team.
Here's my... Oh, yeah, I was talking to you about that.
Yeah.
Eric Young is an acquired taste, I've noticed. I'm not buying the sanity thing that they're doing on
He
NXT.
needs to be either by himself or not a group, just like one or two people.
Many will say it's too soon to bring him over to Raw or SmackDown, but I disagree. He's been in the business a very long time. He gets the character. He understands. I'm more convinced that he's insane than Dean Ambrose.
Exactly. When he held the title in TNA, and It was kind of scary. I mean, he was like he was out of his mind for real.
That's the problem I have, though, is I believe he might just be a one-sided character, and that doesn't work.
Well, they need that one side.
Right.
And he's perfect at it, I think.
But that doesn't necessarily transition well when WWE tries to throw a storyline behind it. It's not so bad when he's in NXT because he's really not facing anyone that has a program build to it.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but they should still give it a shot.
What are you talking
What do they have to
about?
lose? It's not like they have great storylines as it is.
Right.
I'm not saying they suck or anything like that. I'm just saying they're not great. What do they have to lose? Everything's in a gamble. You don't know if it's going to work or not.
Yeah, and I was talking to you yesterday about that. It'd be really cool to see Dean Ambrose and
I want to like Ambrose, but
Dean
he's
Ambrose
just annoying.
and Eric Young.
That would be cool. I would like to see that.
It'd be cool to be
whether they're against each other. Or...
I say a tag team, and they can be like the storyline behind that. They could have been like Asylum Brothers. They're both institutionalized at one point, and they met up.
Not only that, but SmackDown can use a good tag team.
Right. And I think they're both solid work. Ambrose feeds well off A+ wrestlers.
The crowd loves them too. I mean, I don't, but the crowd loves them.
But imagine too if you had these guys as a stable for a while, and then they break a feud, and now you've got the lunatic Fringe versus lunatic at its purest or whatever.
Maniac.
Yeah. And they can have like an asylum match where they're in a padded room and just beat the shit out of each other. I mean, what can go wrong with that? I'd watch it.
I think it's golden.
Golden.
Next up, we have Austin Aries versus Neville.
It took me a second to get on board with Aries because I know you're very, very much an Impact guy. I can't remember if we saw Aries that time we went to that live show, but
I don't think so.
He's growing on me.
He's like another AJ, man. They're all those guys are pretty same ballpark.
Problem is the best two people out of that division is Aries and Neville.
Neville, yeah.
And we're getting to see that already. And I feel like they need to really... I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember if it was Wrestling Soup or if it was We Watch Wrestling. I want to say it's Wrestling Soup. And they said the best way to revive the 205 division is let these guys cut promos each week. Do a character focus.
Yeah, build their character, yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have to see them wrestle that week, but give them 3 minutes on the microphone to cut a promo, to give us some kind of backstory to who they are. I guess they just thought the formula from CWC was going to carry over to 205, and it hasn't.
Yeah, it's kind of lacked quite a bit. Yeah, I haven't watched 205.
They need to go back and take a look at how Impact did their X Division, or how WCW did their cruiserweights.
Man, they had so many cruiserweights back then too.
And back then you got to think about it too. What Nitro at the time was only a 2-hour show, right?
Yeah.
But you seem to see cruiserweights get their time on TV.
They did change to 3-hour, I believe.
Right.
Pretty sure, yeah.
But they never oversaturated or undersaturated that division.
Right, exactly.
The formula was perfect.
Another match we have is a tag team match for Raw. Gallows and Anderson versus Enzo and Cass versus Sheamus and Cesaro. We've seen this before, right?
Yeah, and this one I'm now torn because my conspiracy theories. And I always say my conspiracy theories. And you always say, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But I have another one here.
Okay.
Initially, if you go back the last 2 or 3 weeks on the show, I stated that Enzo and Cass were going to win the belts.
Yeah, I hope not, but yeah.
Now I'm starting to rethink that.
Heel turn on from Enzo.
More...
Or Cass turn on.
More story build. I think they're going to keep the belts, and we're going to see Finn Balor return on Raw the following night, and the club get their start, or their revamp. Balor, Gallows, Anderson, and they already got belts, which puts Balor in line for the Universal title.
How about
as his rematch?
Balor Club against the Authority?
I think that's also a possibility. I think Samoa Joe is going to play some interference at this Mania because he doesn't have a match.
Balor Club against New Day.
And you know what's funny? You say that. Balor Club versus the New Authority. What better way to get these two guys back on TV to have Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor?
Yeah.
Problem with that is you don't want to squash either one of these guys, so it has to end
DQ
in
or
some kind of DQ.
interference.
Yeah. It can't be a clean match.
Bring in Bobby Roode, the third member of the Authority.
But here's where I'm torn, though, too. I also think that Enzo and Cass need the belts.
For what?
Titles. Sorry, we don't have belts. Because there's got to be a storyline for them later on. They can't come over to the main roster for this long. Well, it's been a year now, right, since last Mania?
Something, yeah, pretty much.
And not hold gold. I mean, you got Luke Gallows and Anderson that's been here less than a year, and they've got gold already.
They also had a more solid reputation.
It's funny, too, because I went back and listened to an interview with Enzo Amore. When they found him, he had no wrestling background.
That's why he doesn't do shit.
But, I don't know. It's just funny to see those guys that worked the indie scene for many, many years to finally get their way, like AJ Styles, to finally get into the business with WWE. And then you got Enzo Amore, who's working at Hooters as a manager.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, and becomes... well, at the time they found him, or Triple H found him, he was working on a... I think he was doing working a fish truck or some kind of truck. Oh, piano truck. He was a piano mover. And so, like, he was literally moving a piano at the time Triple H called and asked him if he wanted to try out.
Really?
Yeah. So, to see a guy come in from literally the streets...
I mean, it's great to see that, the involvement of him. And
there's got to be some kind of animosity back in the locker room, though. Can you imagine if you're...
Well, he's great on the mic. I'll give him that. The crowd supports everything he does.
And the day of entertainment, you kind of have to have that now. And I apologize if you hear the noise in the background. We got
these people in the studio next to us are just
out
of control.
That live studio audience, you got to love it.
I'm about to go over there and bust some heads.
There you go. There you go.
Next up, we got a women's match from SmackDown. We have Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Mickie James, Natalya, Carmella. And according to the list, it says to be determined. So I think what they're expecting there possibly is Summer Rae's return.
This is where I say I have absolutely nothing to say about this match. We pause for the gasp.
I normally agree, but I liked what they did on this last week on SmackDown, how everybody just came out and they started going at it. So what I saw on SmackDown on this last week, it seemed exciting. I enjoyed it. Got Bliss, who's doing a great job. Becky Lynch, obviously, also doing her thing. Mickie James is back again. It's been back. She's doing great. Natalya, to me, in my opinion, I think she's kind of overrated. I know she's got the credentials of it and all, but I haven't been impressed with what she's been doing, or pretty much what she's done.
This is pretty funny, because when the women's wrestling comes on TV, I usually get up to get something to drink or use the bathroom. And now that it's not even on TV, Savvo is talking about it, I get up to go get something to drink.
That's true. He walked away. Anybody want a peanut? And Carmella, they haven't been doing anything with her lately, except for her in Ellsworth, but she hasn't really been involved. But I don't know. It should be a decent match. Everybody on the SmackDown roster, women-wise, is kind of like on the same level, which, it's not like Raw where you got Charlotte that is like the greatest one, and then the rest are all below her.
This is going to be, we're talking kind of brief about each match that's coming up, but with next week being the go-home show for the Savvo N Stubby Show for WrestleMania, we're going to go in-depth, match by match, so don't feel underwhelmed by the fact that we're not talking in detail about each match, because we got a crap-filled information-based episode next week where we go through every match. We go through what our predictions are, what we think the build-up's going to be, what we can expect to see on Monday Night Raw, SummerSlam coming around the corner. I don't know if I announced it last week, but WWE has announced that Bad Blood is back as a pay-per-view. I believe it is a Raw specific pay-per-view. Bad Blood has not been a pay-per-view since 1997, so this will be the 20th anniversary of a non-existing pay-per-view. Yeah.
I guess it didn't work then. Maybe it'll work now. I don't know.
20th anniversry of a non-existing pay-per-view.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
We also have for Mania the Raw Women's match, which is Bayley against Charlotte Flair against Sasha Banks and against Nia Jax. Where are you going?
Don't want to talk about women's wrestling.
Hey, tell the people in the next studio to keep it down since you're walking away. Anybody want a peanut? Anyway, so yeah, we have those four women for the Raw Women's Universal Championship.
Want a pencil?
No, I'm good. Another match we have is Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens for the United States belt.
My favorite.
Championship belt.
Title.
It's a championship belt.
Title.
And a title.
My favorite match out of the whole card. I like the program that they built for this. I like the investment in the characters. This is going back as far as, September, October of last year. This has been a build like no other.
And they're both great.
And these two guys, these two characters, I mean, even as fake characters, these guys are characters. And I love it.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see Kevin Owens bury Jericho in this one.
Probably. That's what I think, yeah.
What I keep forgetting is that it's a title match. Because I'm so invested in just the match by itself.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. It's like whether they're together or against each other. Guaranteed gold, you know?
I think they really are like best friends behind the scenes.
Another match we have is Bray Wyatt against Randy Orton.
Don't care.
I thought it started off when they were, when Orton won the Royal Rumble. I think it started off good. It seemed interesting because they had Harper in there. But now, it just seems the last 3 weeks, whatever they've done with Bray has been kind of lame. It's kind of going nowhere. It's like, does he still deserve that title?
Writing's fucked this one up big time.
Yeah, something slipped up there.
I think it all went downhill after the burning of the house.
Yeah, during the burning of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it. Not too pleased with it.
I think the build and the anticipation of the match was in the house as it was burning because it's now in flames. I'm done.
Yeah, next and final is Goldberg against Lesnar, which I hope goes more than a minute and a half or whatever they're going to do there. But
problem with this match is that you're going to expose these guys, especially Goldberg, that he is, one, out of shape, and two, way past his prime.
Okay, but, I mean, everybody kind of already knows that.
Yeah, but you're wanting to see a match. I mean, they tease us with this.
I mean, if Lesnar dominates it, I'm sure that'll make up for it. If he goes Suplex City over and over again, that's going to be badass.
I don't think Goldberg can take more than 2 suplexes, to be honest with you. I think he's going to fold in half like he did when he got F5.
Not one F5. He's like, my belt.
Yeah.
Sorry, championship title. That's all that matches that we have lined up for Mania.
Okay.
What you got?
I will probably go more in detail next week for the show. But I have an interesting topic that I talked with you about yesterday while driving on one of my routes. That topic being that Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and Rebby Hardy,
yes,
cut a fart.
Excuse me?
They cut a fart. And let me explain the analogy. I find it very convenient that the Hardys are going to be in Florida the same weekend as WrestleMania. Now, it's no secret that WWE has been wanting the Hardys. They've been pining for the Hardys for months now.
Since the broken gimmick.
And it's no secret that WWE has offered the Hardys a contract. But what I do have a problem with, and I explained this analogy to you yesterday.
Yep.
Before I explain the analogy, let me explain the situation. It's classroom time with Stubby.
Now we go to school.
Yep. Eyes forward. Everyone pay attention. So, for a while now, there was rumor that the Hardys wanted to go back to WWE to finish off their careers and then one day be inducted in the Hall of Fame for WWE. They consider WWE home, which is fair, you know. When you work in the business, I think everyone's goal at some point is to make it to the big show.
There's only one big show, yes. Paul White.
Yeah. But at the time that WWE showed interest and the time the Hardys showed interest, they were still in contract with Impact Wrestling, at the time TNA Wrestling. What I'm believing happened, and I'm not the authority on this, and I'm sure, Wetback, if you're listening, you'll probably give me some insight. I'm sure WWE came to the Hardys and said, hey, we want you guys to come back. This is what we're offering. And Jeff and Matt, being the guys that they are, being dedicated to Impact Wrestling, TNA, whatever you want to call them, had creative rights to their character. They knew that when they go to WWE, they're not going to have those same, what's that called?
Character.
No, when you have the freedom.
Creative control.
That's not the word I'm thinking of, and I know I'm going to figure it out once I'm done with my whole spiel here. They knew they weren't going to have the same direction and freedom, direction of what they are doing currently in Impact. So they probably politely turned them down. And then as we got closer to contract time, I think WWE came back with the second offer, which was very, very appealing to the Hardys. At this point, the Hardys had already made a name for themselves. The Broken Matt Hardy angle was cemented. And WWE probably promised them that if you guys came over, we give you full creative like they do with Chris Jericho and John Cena. But at this point, the Hardys weren't sure what they wanted to do with Impact Wrestling, and I think they saw a chance to get out by using the contract negotiation being a last-minute thing, which I don't know how these contract deals work, but I'm sure a lot of these wrestlers don't get a contract a month in advance before their contract expires. It's probably down to the wire for a lot of these guys.
If they do, it's because they for sure don't want them to go somewhere and they want to get them in, lock them in.
Right. But I think Matt and Jeff saw an opening here to use the delay on their contract signing as an excuse to leave the company.
To look elsewhere, yeah.
So here's where the cutting the fart comes into play. Imagine, if you will, Savvo, Stubby, and our studio audience, we'll just pick 10 people that are listening. We are all in a tight, windowless room, and one of us cuts a fart. Well, most likely, the person that cuts the fart is going to be the most angry and wants to draw the attention off of them, so they voice their opinion as loud as they possibly can.
Dude, did you fart?
Exactly, to show that they are not the one that did it. I believe that Rebby cut the fart for Matt and Jeff. I believe that she seemed and showed her very much frustration for the fact that Impact delayed the contract agreement, which left the opening for Matt and Jeff to leave without there being any kind of like, wow, I can't believe you guys did this to us. I also find it convenient that, like I said, Matt and Jeff are going to be in Florida.
Yeah.
Well, I'm probably sure within like minutes away from wherever WrestleMania is being held. And if you didn't have any plans of going to that company, why is it conveniently, I know that they have an agreement right now with Ring of Honor.
But it is short term.
I know that it's short term too, but it's just convenient that you set up a short term contract.
Right, exactly.
For that window that you're not working with WWE, while creative gets into place, figures out a storyline for you guys, and you work through this legal department with the creative rights to Impact Wrestling and the character for Broken Matt Hardy. That was a pretty stinky fart. So I'm a little against the Hardys right now. And that's not to say that it's actually happened that way, but it's very convenient. And I can tell you now, if we were in a room and I cut a fart, I'm voicing my opinion. Anything that you want to add to that, Savvo?
I don't know if that's the way it's gone down. That's not necessarily my thoughts. I do know, what I do know is like the Hardys were wanting to stay with Impact because of their kind of lighter schedule, and they're all out of that area, you know, their home. They didn't want to travel so much. So, I mean, it makes sense to me why they wanted to stay, but hey, it didn't work out. That's pretty much it.
All right.
On that part.
So before we hit our hot topic for the week, a new segment that I'm adding to the Savvo N Stubby Show. It may not be a weekly staple for the show, but the hot topic this week is the Chris Benoit story. I noticed you wrote notes on the Hall of Fame ceremony. I know it doesn't have to do with who's actually being inducted this year, but it is. I noticed yesterday you were telling me that you went on a website that said the top 25 wrestlers that have not been inducted so far.
Yes.
I could have swore Vader was already inducted, but apparently he has not.
No, he inducted Stan Hansen.
What would be your
my
I'd
list?
say top 10.
I was going for 5, but then I was like, I gotta include it. And again, me being the WCW guy, maybe I'm a little biased, but anyway, here's my list. I got, for my tag teams, I got Midnight Express with Jim Cornette.
I think that's long overdue, too.
Another, of course, the Steiners, but then I didn't put them on the list. But anyway, I'm going by the list.
The problem with the Midnight Express is, I mean, it would have to be a couple of years out. I think it's too close to the Rock and Roll Express.
That's why it should go.
And
because they were battling against each other.
Why were there so many Expresses during that time
period?
There was
2.
Well, the Rockers were an example, pretty much.
Well, supposedly, okay, the Rockers weren't they originally called the Midnight Rockers?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that came from the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express. So there was an influence there. So they kind of modeled themselves after them, both teams, which was, you know, kind of high-flying type. But Midnight Express were great. They had one version was Beautiful Bobby Eaton.
Are you sure there was only 2 Expresses?
There may have been one or before that, but I didn't know about it.
Was it the Federal Express?
Stupid. Beautiful Bobby and Dennis Condrey. That was as far as me watching, that was the first introduction to the Midnight Express for me. Then there was the second version of the Midnight Express, which was Beautiful Bobby Eaton and Sweet Stan Lane. And that was a pretty cool angle because then they had Paulie Dangerously, otherwise known as Paul Heyman.
Was this the Dangerous Alliance? Or was that something different?
That wasn't a part of the Dangerous Alliance, but Paulie was, yeah. But Paulie brought in the version, was it Midnight Express? Yeah, what he considered the Midnight Express, which was Dennis Condrey and, what was the other guy's name? I can't remember the other guy's name right now, but...
What angle what version do you like the best?
The one with Beautiful Bobby Eaton and Stan Lane. But it got pretty violent there with... So
with that said, which version gets inducted?
Either... Oh, shit. If they induct all of them, it's just one more person.
You know what I'm going to do after the show? I want to do after the show. I want to do a side-by-side photo of you and Negan, because you got that Negan look going on right now. I don't know what it is. It's pretty cool. ADD, sorry.
Another person on my list for future Hall of Fame is Big Van Vader. WCW, he was unstoppable. I mean, he was just...
I'm surprised he's not already inducted.
Not really pleased with what they did with him in WWE, but...
Has Bam Bam been inducted?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I'm just... Yokozuna hasn't.
Yeah, I don't think so. But, you know, Vader, Cactus Jack matches, those were, like, must-see. And then Vader against Ron Simmons.
I wanted to make an ear joke, but I couldn't.
An ear joke?
Yeah. Because didn't Cactus Jack lose his ear to Vader?
Yeah. I don't know. Another one that I really liked him at what he did, but a lot of people talk a lot of crap is Lex Luger. I mean,
I heard he was one of the stiffest guys to work with.
Back then, it wasn't like everybody was a high flyer or, you could just get away with doing, power moves, whatever. So I don't know what people were tripping about, but I'm sure he was pretty arrogant.
I gotta use the bathroom. Carry on the show. You got this.
You got it. Another, and this is a WWE guy. Well, actually, he's both. But King Haku, otherwise known as Ming, I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, he never won he did win tag team titles with Andre the Giant, but he never signed that much on his own. But he was always a great tag team guy and one tough son of a bitch from all the stories you hear of him. Another one is Dick Murdoch. If anybody knows who that is, he was the tag team partner of Dusty Rhodes back in the day, like maybe the early 80s, late 70s. Just brutal cowboy, fucking kick your ass type stuff. Crazy, was it backbreaker, neck breaker or something? But definitely deserves his spot. Another one is Owen Hart. Unfortunately, I guess his wife doesn't want him to be inducted because of the way he died. So much for that one. As far as women, I have Victoria on my list, who I think was a great talent. She also spent some time in TNA, and she was pretty dominant there. Again, great talent. I think she deserves a spot. Another one which we've discussed on and off is China, who definitely deserves a spot, but because of backstage politics and backstage bangings, we'll see what happens with her. Another one, Ivan Koloff.
Who?
Ivan Koloff, the Russian Bear, who recently passed. What better time than next year to have him go in?
I won't be surprised if they even push it for this year, unless they've already made all their selections.
I mean, if anybody watched Ivan Koloff, he was in WWE at the time. He beat Bruno Sammartino.
Was that your impersonation of Porky Pig?
No.
WWE?
No.
No.
That's what it was called many years ago.
What was it called again?
WWE, Worldwide Wrestling.
That's all, folks.
Sorry, Worldwide Wrestling Federation, not E.
Oh, WWF.
And another one that, my last pick, is kind of surprising that he's not in it yet. Actually, you know what? I didn't research it, but it popped in my head. IRS, Mike Rotundo.
No, there's... I believe actually he was rumored to be going in this year. I thought he was already in myself.
I mean, again, I'm not a WWE guy, but you'd figure he'd be in, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like a while ago. And that's another thing. Yeah, everybody can say The Rock or whatever, but that's a given. You know he's going to go in. These people, some of them don't even wrestle anymore. They should be going in before people who, may still be wrestling. You know what I mean?
I don't know if WWE holds the same rules as like the NFL.
I know. That's just the way I look at it.
That's why I don't see Rock going anytime soon. Because as long as you're still technically active on the roster, They're not going to... I mean, it's a living legend whole aspect.
Yeah.
Like in the NFL, I think you have to be out of the NFL for so many years before you can be eligible. I don't know if it's 5 years, 6 years.
That's the way it should be, I think, unless, somebody...
But like you said, Edge went in, and he wasn't out that long.
Right. Eddie Guerrero went in, when did he die? 2 years... Like 2 years later he went in or something?
Something like that.
That's my point. I'll be right back.
So, with that said, we're going to try to jump into this little segment that I put together called Just Another Hot Topic. It is going to be a segment that we talk on a topic that I post on the Savvo N Stubby group page to get people's insight whether or not they like a topic or the direction that said topic is going. And then we take those opinions and that poll, you may say, and giggity, break it down. So this week's episode of Just Another Hot Topic is Chris Benoit and whether or not he should be eligible to be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Hot topic.
Just another hot topic.
It is the very controversial and very much debated topic, the Chris Benoit murder story, the triple homicide that took place back on the dates of June 22nd through June 25th of 2007. The topic this week on the Just Another Hot Topic is whether or not Chris Benoit should be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. The facts that we know about this story was Chris Benoit, his wife and his son were found murdered in their home in Lafayette, Georgia, back in 2007. It was ruled at the time, I don't know if it still is, this part's not a fact, but it was ruled a murder-suicide, with Chris Benoit's wife being murdered on June 22nd, his son being murdered on June 23rd, and then his body being found on June 24th. Is that correct, Salva?
It happened between the 22nd and the 25th. So apparently Nancy Benoit was murdered on the 22nd. The son Daniel was murdered on the 23rd, I guess. It doesn't actually say that. But then Chris Benoit... See, that's weird.
When you say 23rd, or 22nd, 23rd, 24th, that's 3 days, but they say...
Right, exactly. They said it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
We'll just say it's in between that period. And a lot of people's point of views on Chris Benoit is that someone that can be this callous and can kill his family has no rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. Some of those that feel this way don't know I would assume, don't know the in-depth career of one Chris Benoit. But we also don't know the true circumstances of what happened on that fateful weekend. Fateful, not faithful. But I would also think a lot of the power that be would be WWE corporate, because they are a publicly traded company. It brings a bad image for their company. But anyone that knows wrestling knows that there are a lot of wrestlers that both current Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers have a checkered background.
Yeah.
Booker T.
Scott Hall, Jimmy Snuka.
Booker T has a history of armed robbery when he was a younger kid.
Yes.
Scott Hall, I believe, was committed a murder, but it was deemed self-defense. And then Jimmy Snuka, there has been a long, ongoing trial before his passing of some questionable circumstances of how his ex-girlfriend had passed away. And he was the prime murder suspect in that trial. But this also brings up, wrestlers that should currently be in the Hall of Fame, but have checkered pasts, that being Joanie Laurer, or a.k.a. Chyna, having her ties to the pornography industry. Me personally, I think what you do outside the wrestling business is your own business. I get that they're a publicly traded company, but they're life choices, and you don't owe your life to that company. But if you put that much sweat, blood, and tears into that organization, I believe that you should be awarded such. The topic that I posted on the Savvo N Stubby Show was whether or not Chris Benoit should be inducted in the Hall of Fame, and I truly believe he does deserve to be. Though I would never condone murder in any way, shape, or form, whether it be self-defense or not. I believe every life matters. This is not a slogan. Black lives matter. White lives matter. The Mighty Minions out there, the yellow and blue lives matter. And I'm guessing that's very somber because Savvo's not laughing.
I'm reading.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah. But what's your take?
Boy, it's a tough subject. And for me, it's a tough subject because if
Before you even go there, I know you personally have more knowledge of this guy's career than I would ever. Him being a former WCW wrestler.
Yeah.
And he came into WWE at a time where it was more gimmick era. It was just outside the Attitude Era, if I remember correctly. It was the early 2000s.
Yes.
So a bulk of his contribution for wrestling came during the Calgary Stampede era and the WCW era. And I'll let you go ahead and give your side now without interrupting.
Well, my introduction to him was through WCW. I always, realized that he was a great talent. Then he became one of the Horsemen, which for me was a plus. He had great matches. He had the 7-match thingy against Booker T.
7-match thingy?
Yeah, thingy. The tournament like an Iron Man match thingy.
Oh, when did they have the marquee on the screen that said 7-match?
Why don't you go fucking back and watch the video and figure it out? No, they didn't have it all 7 at one time. It was I guess week by week. But
Best of 7 series?
There you go.
Ooh.
Yes, 7-match thingy.
There you go, 7-match thingy.
But when we watched the documentary today,
I think you just spit on me.
Get over it. Sorry.
Negan, I'm telling you.
Where's Lucille? Lucille,
yeah,
is it?
Yeah.
That's also Abyss's bat.
Who?
Abyss from Impact.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Anyway, Chris Benoit, that Best of 7 with Booker T really propelled his career, I thought. And then him being a Horseman. We were watching the documentary earlier today, and it was things I saw back then, but I don't remember, and then I saw it today. It's oh yeah, because him and Brian Pillman were in the Horsemen together at one point.
There's a true lunatic.
He went off the deep end there for
when I saw him back in during that Steve Austin promo time, I always think Kurt Cobain. I don't know if it's just the ratty yellow hair and
probably. Probably.
And then he looked like he was drugged out, which
that was after he had that accident, so he was probably on over medicating and shit. But anyway, does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
I can't remember if you opposed.
He deserves it. By his what he's accomplished. Yes, he deserves
accolades.
It. Yes, his accolades. He deserves it.
Not acolytes.
Motherfucker. But does he deserve to go in from his actions? Much as I hate to say it, I'm going to say no. He does not deserve to go in because of his actions. The company, I understand what you do on the company outside of work should be your own thing, but when it's something that's as devastating as it was, if that doesn't draw the line, then what will? I can't think of anything worse than that.
My hang-up with that, though, is...
It's a shame, though. Don't get me wrong.
Right. My hang-up with that, though, is he's not benefiting. There is no financial gain. He's not going to even see the recognition because himself is no longer on this earth. Why are you smiling? Is the way I said it?
No, I understand that.
I mean, the only thing that's going to be set in stone is what he accomplished in the ring, which at any point, any fan can go back and find material on the internet. It's not like WWE completely just shut it down and there's no way to find it. There's somebody somewhere with a hard drive that has his matches. They know his story. They know who he is. And what he did outside in his own personal life, and I get it. It's not to be favored or to shown in any other light than the negativity that it deserves. But he established himself with his name long before WWE. It's not like he came in as the Canadian Crippler, like a gimmick that WWE created. He's always been that gimmick. I shouldn't say always, after he broke Sabu's neck. But he's always been Chris Benoit. That's his intellectual property before going to WWE. So the only time I would see WWE having say on this, and yes, it's their Hall of Fame, is if it's a character they created.
Okay, but that...
Like Kane. If Kane was in some controversial story, Kane should not be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
What if Kane did some kind of crime wearing his mask?
You can't even keep a straight face with that, can you?
Would that automatically disqualify him?
I think we went way off track here. I don't even know where we're going with this. Wow. There's no rewind either. Wow, this one's fucked.
I mean, it's a sad situation. It really is, because he has a great line of body of work that can be viewed if you can find it. And I haven't really checked the network to see if it's on there or not. How much is on there or anything like that.
Should we start the Savvo N Stubby Hall of Fame and induct Chris Benoit as the first inductee in the Hall of Fame?
We can do that.
We should do that. For the
And Owen Hart.
So for the 161 people that are in the group, out of which maybe 30 pay attention to our show.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, I can say thank you 30 times. That's not too hard to do.
Thank you. Anyway.
Fuck, I don't even know where I was going with this.
Okay, since you lost your train of thought, what would disqualify somebody from going in if this doesn't?
That should. Like I understand why they're doing it. I do. I guess I'm just on that side of.
It's like such a waste. I mean, the body of work that he's got accumulated.
It's like you're eating a bad analogy, and I'm really good at doing bad analogies. It's like taking a bite, like you have 3 bites left of a burrito that you're eating, and you like it, but you're full. It's a shame to throw it away.
Just eat it.
But as much as you want to, you can't.
Oh, you're that full?
Yeah, but and you don't want to throw it away.
So you've already taken like an extra 3 bites already at this point.
At this point, you're kind of stuck. It was the best damn burrito you've ever had. Best damn burrito you've ever had. And you're not in a place where you can refrigerate it. So you're just going to have to either eat it or toss it. Do you stomach it?
Me personally, yeah, I would stomach it.
You'd stomach it and just...
I mean, unless I was at the point where I was going to like puke, kind of,
Well, this is the analogy. Do you stomach the fact that he's got a checkered history and you let it pass and see how it plays out? Or do you just acknowledge the fact that you can't do it? And it's a shame, but you got to let it go. Best damn burrito you ever had.
I'm going to have to go with B. Just, you can't do it.
You just let it go?
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
I mean,
Chris
I said,
Burrito.
it's a shame. It's...
Chris Burrito. That's where we're at.
Did he just fucking say Chris Burrito?
Stubby said that.
Oh, fuck.
So then, What if we find out years and years and years down the road that Benoit was not the one that did all this, or
And then they
it
can
was
put him
foul
in.
play? At that point, will the generations that should have, I don't know. I guess.
Well, it wouldn't. They're still putting people in the Hall of Fame that we haven't really heard of, or we weren't fans of, or whether they were in Japan or just whether they were in the 60s or 70s that we don't aren't familiar with.
Right.
So I guess at that point, if it's comes to that he wasn't involved. I mean, he didn't do it himself. Then I would see no reason for it.
Do you think
to not go in?
Do you think Sullivan has a role in any way, shape, or form with this?
I don't know, man. It's like,
was he considered a suspect?
See, I don't know. I heard there's stories saying that I guess Sullivan was also going out with Sherry Martel or married to her or something, and
Scary Sherry?
Yeah, and she ended up being like
Sister Sherry?
suspiciously dying somehow or something. So then there's rumors saying that Sullivan is part of a satanic cult. I don't know. I don't know what's true and what's not, so I can't really answer it. But it just makes you wonder,
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what's fact or what's not, so I don't want to be one of those, oh, Kevin Sullivan did it. He did it. Blah, blah, blah. He's in a cult. I don't know he's in a fucking cult. I'm just saying what I've read.
Wasn't he the Taskmaster?
Yes.
Didn't he have that weird little design on his forehead, too?
Yes.
Yeah. Cult-like mentality. I think
He's always been a twisted individual, yes.
It's all coming to fruition. So with that said, I think that's really all we have for this specific topic. We will put another survey up for next week's show, although we may not be able to touch. I mean, I guess unless it's WrestleMania based themed, we won't be able to really touch base with it on next week's episode because we'll probably be hitting the 2-hour mark for next week's episode.
You think so?
I think we have a lot to talk about, especially with it being a go home show and it being WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year, the ultimate thrill ride.
I like that roller coaster commercial.
Should I put the music on in the background as we're doing this?
I thought you were going to play that other one.
Whoa. Oh, we will. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
We're giving you fans what you wanted. If you go back and look at the survey for the Savvo N Stubby Show, I asked you guys.
You mean the one where they said I was a dick?
No, that was a different survey. A very factual.
I mean, a survey, though.
Yeah, very factual survey, by the way. Dick. The survey was whether or not the Savvo N Stubby Show shall remain audio only, if we should go audio-video. Some people put video only, which is pretty funny because it'd just be us.
And you can't hear us.
You can't hear us. Yeah, thanks, Mom. She's giggling over there. Or if we should just put Bayley's theme song on a loop. So without further ado, here's what you asked for. Fuck all that noise. This ain't a democracy.
Right? Fuck that.
This is the Savvo N Stubby Show.
You want to play that music? Get your own podcast.
So this week on the Savvo N Stubby Show, we want to give a shout out to the Wetback and Crackapowa Hour. You can find the Wetback and Crackapowa Hour on Apple iTunes, Spreaker, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Grindr, Tinder,
what the fuck are you talking
Plenty
about?
of Fish. I'm just naming off apps.
Those are really apps?
Yeah, I think so. No, but seriously, you can check them out. They are a wrestling podcast just like us. They are only second to us because this podcast comes first. This one pays the bills.
Bamage.
But as always, wrestling is real. People are fake. It's me. It's me. Wait, is that what the shirt says? Does it say wrestling is real? People are fake?
People are fake.
Oh, man, I can't even get that right. People are fake, wrestling is real. It's me, S-T-U-B-B. Why? Because I'm the man, the myth, the legend, the mighty minion himself, Stubby. To all my mighty minionites or my minions.
Mighty minion masturbator.
Yeah. That was the most awkward laugh ever. And who are you, my friend?
I'm the leader of the Savvo Nation.
You are the personified protagonist. He is the Greek mystique. He is the enigmatic, charismatic. He is Negan's stunt double. Anybody want a peanut? He is Mr. Peanut himself without the monocle or top hats. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 8, Savvo N Stubby Show. We love you guys. Go ahead, do your bandage.
Thanks for listening, Bamage.
Stubby out.
See ya.
See ya.
Later.
Later.
Three Miami boys, you know what time it is.
Give me the green light. Oh, yeah. Cause I'm ready to go. Let's have a good time.
Let's go.
What you waiting for? You only got one life.
One life.
And we gon' live it up. So give me the green light.
Give it to me.
Cause I'm ready to go.